Okay, so it's 12 o'clock and we are starting right away as promised. Our moderator is in the room, Moses. Please continue the conversation. Thank you very much for being on time. This promises to be a very exciting period. Thank you and have fun.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mr. Victor. Good afternoon, Olaniwaju Ayodele. Good afternoon, Marvellous. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Moses, I can hear you. Good afternoon to you too.
Oh, okay. Just want to be sure that I'm here. Good afternoon. Thank you for giving us the privilege to spend some time out of your precious time. And being here. Thank you very much for your commitment to YALDA Nigeria. So this afternoon, we are going to be continuing in our series, our webinar series. For the past 3 months, we've been organizing a webinar. If you've been around for a while, we've known that it's been power-packed. It's been powerful, and every new one always precedes the previous one. So I'm very sure that today's one is going to be extremely interesting. Permit me to use those words. Our speaker for today is Marvellous Okechukwu. Marvellous Okechukwu. Okay, so I've known her for a while now, and not just on YALDA platform alone. Personally, I've known her for a while. She's an interesting human being, and she's going to be taking us this afternoon. So I'll just share a brief profile about her, a very brief profile about her before I welcome her on board. So the topic for today actually is how to speak like a pro. And Marvellous Okechukwu has 20 years of speaking experience under her belt. 20 years of speaking experience under her belt. So that counts for something. She's a lawyer and communications professional with demonstrated experience in storytelling for change in the nonprofit management industry and business development. So please make welcome Marvellous Okechukwu as she takes us on how to speak like a pro this afternoon. Marvellous Okechukwu, you have the ground.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Before I start, I would like to take a brief poll on how we are feeling today. How are you? Just use your emojis and put it in the chat box. How are you doing today? Let us know. What's going on with you? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Oh, I can see someone is laughing vigorously, that is crying already. Moses, how are you doing? Use your emoji to let us know. Larewaju, since now most times what we do is remote meetings, this is a great time to bond, to say hello to someone you've not seen in a while. And don't do it privately, please do it on the general chats. Ask someone how they are doing. Larewaju, how are you doing? Hope everything is fine. Okay, Moses, I can see that you are feeling peaceful. That's great. So the next poll we are going to take now is, I would like to know, when did you start speaking? So for clarity, I don't mean just public speaking. When did you say your first words? Are you aware? Does anybody know? Did you ask your parents? Most times parents share details of, or they keep record of those milestones where the child says their first words. It cannot just be mama, dada. When did you learn to speak first? When did you say your first words? Can you just share it in the chat box? I'm curious. Anybody? For me, I would say that it's around 1 year. I said mine. So research shows that children say their first words between 10 to 14 months. And just imagine that, let's say you're 25 and you've been speaking since you were 10 to 14 months. in the professional setting, wouldn't you in your CV say you have about 20 years experience in speaking or 21 years experience in speaking? Is it right to say that if you are counting like that? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. Use the chat box. Let me know your thoughts. So given that speaking, especially for people who don't have any speech impairment, is almost as natural, it's just as natural as breathing, why do you think it's important to want to know how to speak like a pro? People say, and researchers say that practice makes for perfection. That's what is said mostly. It's almost a cliched saying now. So why is it that even after speaking and communicating using our words for so long, since we could or we can remember, we still take courses on how to speak like a pro? Is the practice that we do not enough already? So that is what we're going to examine today. That and more. Okay. So the thing about speaking is that there are so many avenues where we use our words. We speak in meetings at work, when we want to talk to our boss about a raise or about an idea that we have. Then there's the elephant in the room, which is public speaking. Most people are very scared of it. I'll share some statistics with you about the percentage of the world that is afraid of public speaking. In your school, you need to speak. When you want to ask a girl out, you need to talk to her, communicate to her. When you have to resolve issues with your spouse, speaking is a natural thing. And speaking professionally is required in every area of your life. Phobia is what you call the fear of public speaking. Now, 73% of our population is afraid of speaking in public. It even ranks higher than the fear of death. Why is this? Why is everyone afraid of speaking to someone else or speaking in public? Why? Mostly it's because of some blockers. So these are the blockers that I've found out. Fear and what I call snoozing here is not practicing the right techniques. So you speak normally, but are you using the right techniques? Do you understand what you want to convey? Is there intent in this speech? So fear is number one blocker for speaking like a pro. Research shows that people who are given an opportunity to speak, no matter how little the crowd is, are usually afraid or nervous that they will have brain freeze, that they would forget their words or anything. So sometimes the fear is unfounded. You don't know why, but they're just butterflies in your stomach. You are afraid of facing people. In fact, I think it can be summarized in the fear of being judged. So most times people look at themselves, look inwards when it's time to speak. We're going to look at where your focus and what your focus should be on when your intention is to communicate like a pro. So the second one is snoozing. So there are so many materials about speaking like a pro, speaking professionally, speaking with gravitas, speaking to convince people and to make people listen. But because of a lack of growth mindset, some people snooze on it. They just do not practice the right techniques of speaking. So if you can be kind enough to share some of your blockers, some of the blockers you've experienced so far with speaking like a pro, I would like to know what your own experience has been. Please use the chat. This should be really interactive. So in a nutshell, we want to know, what does it mean to speak like a pro? Speaking like a professional starts and ends with the intention. You need to know what you want to communicate, the purpose of what you're about to say. Speaking like a pro, it's about effective communication, effectively communicating to either persuade, to motivate, or to change someone's idea about something, or to cause someone to take an action. This is what speaking like a pro is all about. It's about the purpose and also about the results you intend to get from this. So someone shared mine used to be fear of saying the wrong thing and people making fun of me. So it still boils down to fear, being in your head, already being afraid that you'll be judged or judging yourself before you are judged. Thank you so much for sharing, Moses. Okay, so let's proceed. So how can you speak like a pro? It's very good that we have some guidelines and techniques on how we can go about it. People have conquered this situation of the fear of speaking or not communicating effectively or having people not listen to them. I don't know if you've ever met someone or if you've ever felt at the point in your life that when you talk, people don't listen and you're wondering, why are they not listening to me? Why do they listen more to this other person? Perhaps it's, and then maybe you just resign yourself to, oh, I'm not just good enough. Nobody wants to hear what I say. But that is not true. You have a lot to say and people are eager to hear what you have to say. However, you have to take the right approach. So under the 7 C's of effective communication, it's good that all of them start with C, so it's very easy for you to remember. The first one in all of it is clarity. As stated earlier, you need to know the purpose of why you want to communicate. You need to know what you want, the result you intend to get. For example, if your intention is to persuade your boss to give you a raise, what is the language of the office space? The language of the office space is mostly performance. What have you done? Why should we do this for you? How have you added to the business? You don't go to your boss. You have to have that intention and know that, yes, my purpose is to get this. And then you need to know how you can get it. So first, you have to be clear with what you are going to speak about. You cannot go and tell your boss, instead of asking for a raise, which was your initial intention, you start talking about how your manager is not doing so well and thinking that your boss will decode that means that maybe you can do the job better than your manager. People don't read minds, so be clear with your speech. The second one is it has to be complete. You want to invite someone for dinner, or you want to see somebody privately, say tomorrow, and you send a message. I would like to see you. Hello Moses, how are you doing? I trust you're fine. I would like to see you tomorrow. Looking forward to it. That message is not complete. For example, you didn't state where, you didn't state when. You didn't even hint at what you want to see the person for. So it's always good that your communication is complete and the person knows the action that is required for him or her to take from what you have said. Also, your communication has to be concise. It has to be crisp. All the hula baloo of big words and trying to sound grandiose and well learned. Be minimalist in how you convey information. What this does for you is that it jettisons the ability of someone to misconstrue you because your communication is clear and precise and concise. In this sense, it's concise. The next one that we'll look at is correctness. Did you take time to do your due diligence? Did you ensure that what the facts you are stating are correct? And when they are checked or if they are looked at again, what you're saying is what it is. Hi, Abubakar, welcome. Okay, so another thing you also have to do is you have to be courteous. Most people don't respond positively to rudeness. If you are rude in your speech, you will most likely not connect with your audience. So you have to be courteous. You have to know when to say please. You have to know when to say thank you. You also know how to empathize with someone. For example, if you want a meeting with a senior person, you don't just go to the person's DM and say, hello, sir, I'm so. You end up talking only about yourself. You don't ask how the person is doing. You don't empathize and say, I understand that your schedule is tight. However, I would like to see you. So you would see that this other message is framed, or when you're communicating face to face, is framed in a way that you are courteous, you extend courtesy to the other person. You also have to be considerate. This also has to do with the other person. You also have to be concrete. It has to be clear. What you're saying should be clear and should be very verifiable. It also should be coherent. Coherence means when you're speaking, your words should not be mumbled. It should be clearly pronounced. You don't need to have a British or an American accent, but just project your voice and be confident in what you're saying. So we are moving to the approach to using these 7 C's of communication. Now, this is the 7P approach to speaking. You will see that the first one is purpose. And the 7 C's of communication, we spoke about clarity. Now, purpose, and in clarity, you find purpose. If your message, if you understand what your purpose is, your message will definitely be clear. So you have to predetermine the purpose of why you are why you are speaking, why you are raising your hands at that meeting, what you want to convey. You also need to put into consideration the people that you're speaking to. Who is your audience? Are they Gen Z? This will determine the kind of language you use. Is it millennials? Are you talking to older people? What is their religious background? All those things are important because it is true that way that you connect to them. You know their pains. You know where it hurts, and you speak to them. You speak to those issues. You also have to consider the place. Is it a formal setting? Are you talking to people in a church, in any other religious institution? Are you talking in a school? Are you speaking in a school? There is language appropriate for all of these places. Another thing that people fail to do, or that you may take for granted, is preparation. It's always good to prepare your points. Let it be structured. This is intertwined with planning. Plan what you have to say. Sometimes it's impromptu, but when you have these things, when you know them and you have them at your fingertips, it's easy to just do it in your head. Like in Toastmasters, we call it table topics. You're asked to say something, and on the spot, you come up with what you have to say. So it takes a lot of practice to get to that point where at the spur of the moment, you are able to speak concisely, clearly, completely, and all. You also have to take into consideration the personality of the people that are speaking to, and also your personality. People want to connect with you as you. So personality here has to do with authenticity. Come as your true self. Don't try to do it like someone else. You can learn the person's technique, but there's something uniquely you that you bring to the table. And also, especially when it has to do with public speaking, performance is very important. You can't say, oh, I'm an introvert, so I will just talk as if I'm talking to someone in my room. You have to project, you have to perform like an actor. Most times in life, what we do is that we play different roles at different times. One person, for example, as a person, you may be a husband, you are also a CEO, you're also a father. And in all these roles, you act the same, but you act differently in a way. So when you are faced with an opportunity to speak publicly, do not hold yourself back from performing, from letting them see, showing people, rather than telling them what you're trying to convey. Now, why should you even bother? Why should you bother? What are the benefits of speaking like a pro? Why should you bother speaking like a pro? Can't you just keep speaking how you're speaking and living your life? So before you answer, you have to ask yourself, are you getting the results you want? If you're getting the results you want from how you've been speaking all the while, then fine. Then you don't need this. But if you want to get different results, if you want people to listen to you, if you want to build trust, you desire to have better relationships, then you should really look into how you communicate. And you should look into needing to speak like a pro. Research shows that people who speak well are just generally considered to be smart. So don't you want to have that benefit of the doubt? People already conferring smartness on you, even without you exhibiting any extraordinary ability. So this is called the halo effect. People already view you as someone who they can trust because you speak clearly, concisely, you pass your message across effectively. So some of the benefits are it builds trust. People trust you because they know whatever you're communicating to them, you have verified, you have thought about it, so they trust you. Your relationships are better because you clearly communicate what you mean. You don't leave anything in between the lines. You don't expect anybody to be a mind reader. It helps for team building. So a team where emails that are sent, oral briefs are clearly spoken out and there are no ambiguities. Definitely bonds to get bond. The difference between a conflict escalating and diffusing language. So all these things, your tone, your pace, your body, and how you handle situations can affect of what that situation is. So that this is one of the reasons why you should learn to speak. You also motivate with your family members, you cause change, and your job satisfaction is increased because you say what you want and you say. So I'll play a brief. I just view of Martin Luther King, and you notice that the 7 C's of communication that we spoke about is clearly there. In the first, what he used mostly was repetition. In the beginning, he had a dream that there will be equality and no racism for Blacks in America. And then he used repetition to further solidify what he was saying. So this is an example we can practice on our own, use it to test out our own speech and our own speaking prowess. So in summary, speaking like a pro is a measure of different things. It has to do with your posture, it has to do with your intent. What is the purpose that you are trying to pass across? For example, if I say, do I look excited? If I say, I'm excited to be here. Of course, you don't believe me because my body is not communicating what I'm saying. It's a totally different thing. So your posture, your tone, your pace. Pace is how you slow down or how you pick up when you are speaking. For example, if I say, Moses, I have something very important to share with you. Moses, I have something very important to share with you. which would you take more seriously? And research shows that when you reduce your tone and perhaps lean in, it's the body cue that you are giving off shows that you have something of importance to say, and you notice that the other person reciprocates by leaning into and listening intently. Also, do you show empathy? Do you think about your receiver, or are you just all in your head? So one of the things that aggravates fear is because people are all in their head thinking about the worst case scenario. And what they're thinking about is they're thinking about themselves. But if you reframe the situation as, what does this person want? Okay, what is my purpose? What do I want to communicate? What would be a fair thing to communicate? What does this person want? What are this person's life circumstances? You see, you're no longer making it about yourself. You're making it about the other person, and you're trying to understand them. And in understanding them, you make them feel seen, and they're more receptive to whatever you have to say. Also, your words, are they harsh words? Are they words that you require to go and you need to Google before you understand? So all of these add up. So in conclusion, I'll just say, after learning all these things, just do it. Practice, and you can use your family members, people around you as test runs to know how you're doing. So I'm open to taking questions now. If you have any questions, you can share. You can put it in the chat box so the moderator can help.
All right, Marvellous. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for your presentation. It's been an eye-opener when it comes to communication. Thank you very much. So for the sake of time, because we are using the free version of Zoom, we were not able to renew our license due to the restrictions on our Naira card, so we're not able to pay in dollars. So please, if there's any question, you can just follow Marvellous on LinkedIn, or you probably just drop it on the YALDA group chat. We would attend to it. She would attend to it. Or follow her on LinkedIn as well. She's going to drop her LinkedIn profile in the chat box, so you can follow and ask her the question. And this recording is also going to be provided on YouTube, so you can as well just go over and also listen to it in case you missed anything out. So Marvellous, thank you very much. Thank you really very, very much. Really appreciate you for taking out your time and your resources. And even though it was a short notice, thank you very much. I really appreciate you as well. So we're going to be rounding up soon before they kick us out. And before we go, I want to also celebrate someone. He's on the call, Mr. Tosin Kato. Okay, yes. So I realized that his birthday was on the 15th of July this month. And Mr. Tosin is one of the most resourceful person in the YALDA. He's a man of all seasons, a man of anytime you call on him, he's always responding. So we want to say thank you very much. We want to appreciate you for all your contributions, sir. Mr. Tosin, for even being here, because I remember reaching out to him and he's like, he's in an event. He's also in another event online, and he still made our time to be here. So Mr. Tosin, we do not take you for granted. Thank you very much for your time, for all you do for YALDA. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So this is going to be it for today. I hope you've learned one or two things concerning public speaking and speaking like a pro. Like a friend of mine used to say that a good speech should be like a woman's skirt. It should be long enough to cover the essentials and short enough to look exciting. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. So this will be it for today. And also, Mr. Chuks, the president of YALDA Nigeria, is also on this call. If you know what it means for the president to be on this call, we do not take his presence for granted. We do not take his presence for granted. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuks, for being online. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuks, for being online. And for everyone who took our time to be here, Josephine, Mr. Valentine Idewo, Abubakar Saidu, I think Ayodele left for also being here. Mr. Victor, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. We appreciate your presence. Thank you very much. You are the reason why we have YALDA Nigeria. And so this will be the end of the meeting for today. Until next month, we rest assured that we have something else cooking up. We are in the kitchen. Something is cooking up also for next month. and we'll be expecting you as well. So please take care of yourself. Have a wonderful Saturday, weekend, let me say, and all the best. All the best.